The voice in the baby monitor. I used to think baby monitors were just for peace of mind, until mine nearly made me lose it. It was around 2 a.m. when I heard my daughter crying through the monitor. She was only 8 months old, so I didn't think much of it. Half asleep, I sat up, ready to head into her room. But then, I froze. Through the static of the monitor, I heard something else. A voice. A woman's voice whispering, "Shh, go back to sleep." At first, I thought it was my wife. But when I looked, she was lying next to me, fast asleep. I shook her awake, and we both listened. And again, the voice came through, clearer this time, almost scolding. I said, "Sleep." We rushed to the nursery, my heart beating out of my chest. But when we burst through the door, nothing. My daughter wasn't crying. She was lying in her crib, giggling, staring at the corner of the room. But here's what made my blood run cold. The closet door was wide open, and we never, ever leave it open. The woman on the road, and this happened to my uncle years ago, but he swore on his life it was real. He was driving late one night on a deserted country road when he saw a girl walking along the side. She looked young, maybe late teens, and wore a pale blue dress. Against his better judgment, he pulled over. She climbed in without a word, and he noticed how cold the air got. She just sat there, silent, staring straight ahead. He asked where she was going, and she quietly said, "Home." So he drove. A few miles later, she told him to stop. It was an old farmhouse at the end of a dirt path. She opened the door, stepped out, and began walking toward the porch. My uncle glanced back to check on her, but the seat was empty. Shaken, he knocked on the farmhouse door. An older woman answered. When he asked about the girl, her face went pale. "You must have seen my daughter," she said. "She died in a car accident 10 years ago, on that road." The extra roommate. I was sharing an off-campus apartment with 3 friends. We were broke, so it was small, cramped, and definitely not in the best neighborhood. But hey, it was home. For the first few weeks, we joked about the weird things happening. Footsteps at night, the fridge door opening by itself, even the shower running when no one was in it. We chalked it up to the old pipes, bad wiring, maybe even pranks. But one night, our food started going missing. Full leftovers, gone. We argued, but no one admitted to it. That's when my roommate suggested we set up a camera in the kitchen, just to catch whoever was stealing food. The next morning, we checked the footage. Around 3 a.m., we watched in horror as a figure crawled out of the tiny crawl space above our cabinets. A woman, dirty, pale, moving on all fours. She walked straight to the fridge, ate, and then crawled back into the ceiling. We called the police immediately, and when they checked, they found bedding, clothes, even trash hidden up there. She had been living above us the whole time. The deadline one rainy evening, my phone rang. It was my grandmother's number. The thing is, my grandmother had been dead for 2 years. I almost dropped the phone, but something made me answer. On the other end was her voice, calm, warm, familiar. She said, "Don't leave the house tonight." I tried to respond, but the line went dead. I sat frozen, staring at my phone until curiosity got the better of me. I checked the call log. There it was. The number, clear as day. I didn't go out that night. The next morning, I turned on the news. There had been a massive pileup on the freeway, right along the route I would have taken. Multiple fatalities. To this day, I can't explain it. But sometimes, I wonder how many calls we don't answer. The knock at the window, I was cramming for finals, sitting at my desk near the window. It was close to midnight when I heard it, a faint tap. I looked up expecting maybe a branch, but nothing was there. I ignored it, went back to studying. Then it came again, louder, tap, tap, tap. The window was on the second story. No tree branches, nothing outside that could reach it. I grabbed my phone and turned on the camera, switching to the selfie view so I could see behind me. That's when I froze. In the reflection of the glass, I saw it. A pale, grinning face pressed against the window. I spun around, but the glass was empty. When I looked back at my phone, the smile was still there. The man in the closet. My son used to tell me about the man in his closet. Every night, he'd scream, begging me to check. I'd open the door, shine a flashlight, and show him. Nothing there, just clothes and toys. After a while, we got tired of the routine. We thought it was just nightmares. Then one morning, I walked into his room after dropping him off at school, and I noticed something strange. On the carpet leading from the closet to the door were muddy footprints, big ones. That night, I nailed the closet door shut. The patient that never left hospitals have a certain silence at night, the kind that feels heavier than anywhere else. I was on a night shift when I heard humming coming from room 6. But room 6 had been empty for days. I peeked in, and my blood ran cold. Sitting on the bed was an old man, calmly humming, staring out the window. His hospital gown was wrinkled, his hair unkempt, but his eyes looked sharp. I whispered, "Sir, are you all right?" He turned, smiled faintly, and said, "They keep me here too long." When I blinked, the bed was empty. The room was silent. Shaken, I checked the records. Room 6's last patient, an old man. He'd died 3 days before. The camping trip. We thought it was going to be a fun, cheap weekend away. Just 3 of us, camping deep in the woods. The first night was fine until around midnight, when we heard it. Laughter, high-pitched, childlike, drifting through the trees. We froze, listening. It sounded close, but when we shined our flashlights, nothing was there. The laughter went on and off until sunrise. The next morning, we stumbled outside, trying to laugh it off, until we saw the footprints, small, child-sized, dozens of them, circling the tent. We packed up and left without saying a word. The stranger on the security camera, I lived alone, but I kept waking up to find my front door unlocked. I blamed myself, thinking I was forgetful, until I finally bought a cheap security camera. That night, I checked the footage. Around 2:30 a.m., I watched myself walk to the door and unlock it. But here's the thing, I never got out of bed. The figure looked like me, same pajamas, same walk. But the face was wrong, blurred. Opposite unlocked the door, turned back toward the camera, and smiled. The next morning, I smashed the camera. But I still wake up sometimes to find the door open. The disappearing bus passenger. I worked as a night bus driver for years. You see a lot of strange people after midnight. But one woman still haunts me. She always sat in the very back, never spoke, just stared out the window. One night, she finally whispered, "You shouldn't let the man next to you off at his stop." Confused, I looked over. There was no one next to me. The bus was empty, except for her. When I turned back, the back seat was empty too. That night, I drove past her usual stop without slowing down. The next day, I learned there had been a stabbing at that very bus stop, right around the time we would have been there.